If you had to watch Wisconsin play offense last year, I don't know. Like, if you're a season ticket holder or you live in the state of Wisconsin or you're just a Big Ten fan and you had to watch the Badgers repeatedly on offense, I apologize. It was that bad. I mean, they were atrocious last year on offense. 12.8 points per game. And somehow this team won 4 games. It continues to be one of my most incredible stats from last year. You average under 13 points per game, and yet you won 4 games. That is and won 2 Big Ten games, 2-7 in the Big Ten last year for Wisconsin. Look, Luke Fickell now entering his fourth year as the Badgers head coach. They know they've got to be better on offense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Wisconsin has got to get back to being able to score the ball on offense. Nobody can win being that atrocious on offense. So I can't wait to see what this team looks like this year. We're talking about the Badgers today on the You Think You Know Sports podcast. This is a fairly new podcast. This is actually our last team here of the Big Ten as we continue previews around all of college football. We've done the ACC, we've done the American, finally finishing up the Big Ten in podcast form. We've got videos posted on our social media pages, including one on Wisconsin on You Think You Know Sports. You can look us up on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you want to find us, we're there. And we also have our website, youthinkyouknowsports.com. We will have a blog preview of the Wisconsin season up before you know it. Back in the day, you think of Ron Dane, you think of some of the great Monty Ball, you think some of the guys who played running back for Wisconsin. It was a prestigious position to be the starting running back of the Wisconsin Badgers. And now Wisconsin just doesn't have an offensive identity. That identity was as strong as any in all of the land. I mean, if you were watching Wisconsin play football, you knew that they were going to run the football at you. They were going to have a great stable of running backs, and that offensive line was going to eat your lunch if you weren't ready. It didn't matter if you were Ohio State. It didn't matter who you were. They were going to try to run it right at you. Obviously, if they got well behind, they were in trouble. But Wisconsin, that was their pedigree. That was their MO. Now, the last 2 years, 5-12 in the Big Ten. Fickell 17-21 at Wisconsin. Obviously, has got to be better. The whole everything with the program's got to be better. He's 80-46 as a head coach in his career, going back to his interim days at Ohio State, the Cincinnati, the great job he did at Cincinnati. They were dead last in the country last year in points per game. They had only 253 yards per game, number 135. They averaged 3.3 yards per rush, number 122 in the country. They threw it 41% of the time. They were behind a ton, still tried to run it, which is understandable. They threw the ball, interceptions on almost 5% of their plays, dead last in the country. The defense is why they won games. We'll get to the defense in a minute. They've got to figure out who the quarterback is going to be. It feels like Colton Joseph from Old Dominion. He had over 4,200 yards, 32 touchdowns last year. He has run for over 1,600 yards in his career and 24 touchdowns. It feels like he's probably going to be the guy. This is the team, I will add, that has really had trouble keeping their quarterbacks healthy under Luke Fickell. So that's a huge part of this. They've got to be able to do that. They have 5 transfer offensive linemen, 3 transfer running backs, 5 transfer wide receivers. They brought in people from everywhere. Chris Brooks and Eugene Hilton have come in. Shamar Rigby came in from Oklahoma State. Abu Sama came in from Iowa State. Running back, he'll lead the backfield with over 1,900 yards, 13 touchdowns. They've also brought in Brian Jackson from USC, and Nate Palmer will play a role in the backfield as well. Obviously, Brooks and Hilton are back in the secondary. Rigby coming in from Oklahoma State. Trying to read my notes here. Look, the offense is going to look a lot different. Only 3 starters back, Brooks being one of them. Colin Cubberly and then Emerson Mandel both on the offensive line. So 2 offensive linemen are back. Defensively, they only have 1 starter back, and I think that's even the bigger concern because obviously you had to be much better on offense than you were last year. So bringing in a whole new look at offense, I think that that's very easily explainable. But defensively, they only allowed 21 points per game, number 36 in the country, only 323 yards per game, also toward the top half of the country, number 23. Opponents were 50-50, very balanced run and pass against Wisconsin. So you couldn't do one thing better or the other. The problem was, while they didn't give up as many yards in this category as it might seem like, opponents completed 70% of their pass attempts last year. So Wisconsin has got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback to disrupt some passing games. They were dead last in takeaways per game last year. They were great with penalties. Only 30 penalty yards a game, only 3.6 penalties per game. So Wisconsin was not a penalized team, but they couldn't take the ball away from you, and they couldn't get you off the field because if you needed an easy completion, you were going to find one against this Badgers defense. So they have got to figure that out. They bring in guys from West Virginia. They bring in guys from Charles Perkins comes in or is back on the defensive line to play with Hammond Russell, who comes up from West Virginia. They also bring in guys from Missouri. There are a lot of different players who have come over on this defense who are going to hopefully continue most of the good things from last year, maybe other than not taking the ball away and not being able to disrupt easy throws for quarterbacks. The schedule opens with Notre Dame in Green Bay. It's going to be an awesome environment. But, when you think about that game a few years ago, you would have thought it might be a better looking game. We'll see what Wisconsin has for maybe the best team in the country in Notre Dame. The next 2 weeks that follow, they play Western Illinois and Eastern Michigan. You got to win those. Play at Penn State September the 26th. They host Michigan State October 3rd. They have an October 10th bye. Then they play the LA schools back-to-back. They go to UCLA October 17th. They host USC on October the 24th. They go to Iowa on October 31st. Host Rutgers November 7th. Play back-to-back road games at Maryland and Purdue on November 14th and November 21st. And then they host Minnesota to end the year. So Wisconsin has got a schedule where they play Notre Dame technically on a neutral field, even though it's at Green Bay. Then they play at Penn State, at UCLA, at Iowa, at Maryland, at Purdue. I don't think the schedule's terrible. There's no Ohio State here. There's no Indiana here. There's no Oregon here. There's no Wisconsin here, right? And there's no Michigan here. So, to me, they don't play the best 5 teams in the Big Ten, which was the most amazing thing when I broke down this schedule. Wisconsin's schedule gives them a chance to absolutely overachieve, to give Luke Fickell a break, to give this program a break. Absolutely, they have a chance to overachieve. When you don't play Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan, Oregon, or Washington, that is a dream schedule for Wisconsin, and that's what you'll see on my videos if you go check out what I had to say about the Badgers. I'm not saying that a trip to Penn State is easy. I'm not saying a trip to Iowa is easy. I'm just saying that if that is your hardest road games in the Big Ten when you're Wisconsin, you'd probably sign up for that. And the Badgers are going to be in good shape. So, look, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments on all those videos I posted. Do you think this Wisconsin team can overachieve based on the schedule they have this year? Do you think it's going to be another subpar year? Are they going to get to a bowl game? What does Luke Fickell have to achieve to still be the head coach at Wisconsin? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comment section. Hope that you'll also hit the subscribe button on this podcast as we continue making our way around college football. This was the last one for the Big Ten. I'm excited to get into the Big 12 and the SEC, which will be the next conferences that we start talking about. I really appreciate you guys listening on the You Think You Know Sports podcast. We'll catch you when we get to the next conference. Won't be long. See you guys.